Okay, folks, we're going to show you a little how-to today of how you can use Google Sheets and Excel to make scatter plots with linear models within them and get your P and R and slope of your lines. So you can get all your needed statistics as well as t-tests and box and whisker plots. So everything we've been working with in class, I'm just going to show you how to do these. With two different programs you have generally easy access to. Google Sheets, here we have just some made up X and Y data, and what you're going to do, highlight it, and I'm going to insert a chart. It's going to guess what you want, but you can tell it specifically you want to have an scatter plot. Then on that chart, you can go into Customize, and under the series, you can add a trend line, and you can have it show the R squared. You can also have it show the equation to get your slope, get the square root of the R squared, get your R. You have to know what direction that is, but you can figure that out pretty easy based on which direction the line's going. And then you have, to get your p-value, we need to do a little bit more advanced work with that. And so you need to go into add-ons and get add-ons. And then you're going to search in here for the add-on I already have added, which is this XL Miner Analysis Toolback, a little tongue-in-cheek with kind of the options you get in the program Excel. So download that or potentially add it into your Google Sheets. And then once you have it added in, you can go and start it up here. And it'll give you these options. Particularly, we're looking at figuring out what the R value is for this line here. Linear regression, telling it what the Y values are. You get to kind of highlight them, go back and click on the box again. It's a little clunky to make sure that it's looking at the correct location. See, it's still saying B, want it to be A. There we go. And then tell it where to put the statistics. Put that right there. Click back on the box. There we go. Okay. And gave us our regression, particularly, gave us our R value. So got 0.995, and then go down into your p-value here with the X variable and the Y. Not worrying about including an intercept. And we have the very small number. So we're just going to say P is less than 0.001, saying we have a 99.9% confidence in the likelihood of the finding that there's a relationship. We have an R value for the linear correlation of that relationship. So equals your R. What's the formula? And finally, we have the equation of the line. And so your slope equals 2.03. And you have your y-intercept as well. And so you have your slope, your p-value, and your R value, all right there. 3 statistics you'll then include in the figure caption. You don't want to have the statistics on the chart directly. So you would go in and remove that. And you'd also, not common to have a title above, but you can adjust your X and Y so that you have units in there, you know, say it's in meters or whatever, what it actually is. It's height of knotweed, for example. There's a lot of other formatting you'll do. You've been practicing that already, so I'm not going to walk through all of that. But you do that for the charts, and this helps you get the statistics that you need. And I'm going to show you how to do the same thing in Excel here. So here's the same made up data set. Highlight that, go into Insert, Chart, and choose the XY scatter. Same thing. Trend line, a little quicker. You just right click and add trend line. Choose what kind. You can also change the kind in Google Sheets as well if you don't want to do linear. But for a linear one, we can have the equation and our squared value. And to get that p-value, pretty similar, except you go into data and data analysis. And you're going to do the regression. And okay, and tell it what your Y is. Great. Make sure that that's right. Yep, that's the Y values. A values look correct. Output where we want it to go, and we'll say okay. And same idea. Hey, it looks very similar, and that's because what they did in Google Sheets is just modify off of what already happens in Excel. And so there you get your p-value, except here we're using scientific notation. So that e to the minus 0.08, you got to move that decimal point 8 places to the left. Either way, you still get that p-value less than 0.001. And you get your R value, p-value, same thing with the equations. But again, for the final graph, you're going to want to remove those and, you know, format the axes and the axes labels and the units and all the other best practices for graph making that you've been practicing and we've been walking through in class. Great. So now t-tests in Excel. So here's a made up data set of population A and B. Highlight that. I'm going to do a box and whisker plot. Insert the, you can go to all charts and go into box and whisker, say okay. Again, I want a chart title, and you also have a bunch of empty space here, so we can format the axis, get that minimum up to something. So there's a little white space, but not a ton. You can continue to modify things as you have been to make a nice looking chart. But to get the p-value then, the really important statistic that you do include in the figure caption for this box and whisker plot, you're gonna go into data analysis, and this time you're gonna choose t-test, and you're gonna do 2 samples assuming unequal variance, because you don't know what the variance is. And you gonna have input. Yep, that looks right. A2 to A16. If it's not right, you go in and physically change it. Go back. Same for B. Output location, and you can say okay. And there you go. You now have your t-test outputs. You get your means here for variable 1, variable 2, and so you also have your p-value. We're going to do 2-tail p-value, and that is because we have values both above and below the mean there. We're not starting at a bunch of near zero values. And we are going to look at a normally distributed data set. So we're going to use two-tail scientific notation, but basically your p is much less than 0.001. And that is a two-tailed t-test. Great. You're going to want to include that information in the figure caption with the p-value. Maybe mention the means, but the means are also included there in the figure. You'll want to format that appropriately. Now to do that same thing back in Google Sheets, here's that same data set. To make in the box and whisker plot. That's a bit more complicated in Google Sheets. There's no easy button like there is in Excel. But here's a YouTube video that goes through the steps you would need to make a box and whisker plot if you don't have Excel. But you can also go in and use a computer on campus that has Excel available and do it there if you don't have it yourself. But you can still get the t-test statistics and the p-value. So you're going to go to the add-ons again and the tool pack, start that. Then you're going to go down to t-tests, assuming unequal variance. Again, all the same options because it's modeled after what they have in Excel for the data analysis tool pack. Variable 1, it's range there. You got to go back and click on the box. A little clunky. Variable 2. Back on the box, and where you want it to put the output. Click back in the box. Okay, and there you go. Same thing, you get your two-tailed p-value. This time they spell it all the way out for you. And it's less than 0.001. Just say that, and here we have your means again. And that's a two-tailed student t-test. Great. There you go. So that's your needed stats. And I make those figures. And you can work on the formatting yourself. You've been practicing that a bunch to make them look nice and spiffy. And remember, the figures themselves will have the information, units and labels, and the statistics will be in the figure captions that you include down below. So you can either bring those in as a text box, or you can insert some of those options. You can copy and paste it into Word or Google Docs. It's probably the easiest way. So once you have a nice thing that you're excited about, you can copy or screenshot that, and you can say figure 1 and have description, what we are looking at, and needed statistics included as well. Great. There you go. And then you can file download as a PDF, and you got yourself your final version that you can then submit once. These will look a lot nicer than what I have here, but this is just the general way of showing you how to do it all. Great, so hope that's helpful for folks, and good luck making those figures.